Well, I think each student has their own level of understanding the yoga practice, and so it's according what is the mindset of the student. There is no like in which level of yoga they are practicing or where's their mind. And so some people can take yoga as a very physical practice and think about the body and flexibility and strength and maybe also alignments, and so it's more this kind of level, more physical level, which is good. It's good for the health. It's good for the body. It's good for the mind also. And yeah, it's already yoga practice. There's also concentration. I think concentration is very important, because concentration really makes it yoga in that level that we can start to talk about yoga. Otherwise, if it's only physical, then it's more like a gymnastics or stretching, or you could call it some other name than yoga. But concentration is important. There is people who take it more for the mind level and focus for the breathing and peace and meditation, that kind of level. It's not maybe so asana based and physical for them, even if it's a physical practice still, but the practice is like a tool to reach, like using pranayama or some other tool to reach the state, which is more meditative state, peaceful state. Then we have people who start to sense how the energy is flowing in the body, and maybe some connections with the soul, and that's one kind of level, having an understanding about the energy and following that. And then there is maybe the final level, what you can say in yoga, is that people who has faith for the God, and they have this, becomes like a main thing in the practice, becomes a bhakti and devotion. And that's a special level also. So many different people with the different needs and mental how to say it?
States.
Yeah, mental states. And really needs kind of understanding also about life. And the practice can look very similar. Everyone does the same asana, but the mindset is different. And it's a nice in a yoga class that there is all these people with a different mindset. And everybody can see each other and kind of take that kind of influence and what they want, what they're ready to, how deep they're ready to go. And many times people start from very physical level and they start to move towards the mind and meditation. But there's also people who start yoga, like Ashtanga yoga, from the bhakti view, from the beginning.
Not from the physical point.
Yeah, maybe not even interested so much about physical point. But the physical will come automatically when you do the asanas. But that's not the main thing. I have some friends who's never been doing any kind of physical activity. They'd be like more like interested about the philosophy and books and studies and you can, in the beginning, you can see in the body that these people doesn't have any understanding about this physical body, that there's no connection with the body. But slowly, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they start to look like athletic.
Strong.
Yeah, strong.
Yes.
And still, the main point is not the asana. It's interesting. But asana is important especially for the purification. So purification of the body and the mind. That your mind can stay in a kind of clean state. So the thoughts what you get to your mind, they're like good thoughts. There is no sickness or some impurities in the body which are affecting for the thoughts, and they're more clear. It's hard to kind of, as Ashtanga, it's kind of a little bit hard to understand people who doesn't practice the asana at all and think how that can work. But there's many people like that who doesn't practice asana. But I think the Ashtanga people are the people who want to have that body connection also. And the people who doesn't want that, they doesn't do asana. Yeah, the rules are always flexible, and
Okay.
it cannot be yoga without flexibility. And we can read from many books about non-attachment, and there has to be also non-attachment for your practice, and be flexible. Not everyone live like be single and has money and opportunities to practice and go to India and do everything like exactly. Some people has families, some people has to work more. Some people maybe cannot practice in the morning because they maybe work in the night time or something. And I don't think anybody says that we have to do the whole full sequence every day. But the practice can be also short practice. It can be a few sounds of rotations. You cannot do more. It can be pranayama. It can be some studies. Also, if especially for the ladies who are pregnant or giving a birth, or we have to be very flexible and like really follow like your sensations and feelings, and not to push yourself too much to the yoga mat, because it's not really the only thing in life. Yoga can be in many levels. Sometimes you cannot maybe do asana, but you can maybe sit down and do some chanting or but if you can, yes, if there is opportunity, if you have a possibility to practice 6 times a week, yeah, it's good to do it. It doesn't always have to be full practice. if you feel it's not, you're not ready for it.
And when
sometimes I have a feeling that the people outside India take too seriously the rules, and if you can call them rules. But if you go to India, you see how people are living. They're quite flexible with the rules. The state of mind is so much about the mindset, like very, yeah, how you think about it. So of course some people might feel guilty if they don't
yes,
practice, but
it's kind of problem.
we don't have to feel guilty.
We should not feel guilty.
No, we should not feel guilty if we do our best and we do what we can. Like, there's so many things that affecting for the daily practice, so we have to be flexible. He didn't talk so much about the Krishnamacharya. There was not so many stories about him, what I heard. Like, many times he said my guru was a very strong man.
Strong?
Strong, very strong man. Very strong man. And everyone understood that Krishnamacharya was like physically very strong, like we hear from many interviews also. B.K. Iyengar has been talking about this, like how Krishnamacharya was like a lion. Like, and also mentally, like really had this faith for yoga and really practiced the system his whole life. And so that was mainly what I heard about Krishnamacharya, was that Krishnamacharya was like a tough guy. I think especially Krishnamacharya was flexible because he was very aware, like, where people came from and what they wanted to have, what they wanted to get from the practice. If somebody had to do therapy practice, or somebody had to do some like a bhakti type practice, or somebody just wanted to do physical practice, and or from what kind of family they came from. So according to that, he was teaching. He wasn't strict for the people who couldn't follow like a daily practice. But they did what they could. Of course, the guru always wants to push the people a little bit over the limit, like because the student's mind can be weak and become very easily lazy and wants to skip the practice. So the guru tried to push a little bit over the limit, like that. Not just like, okay, I'm done, I go to sleep. So I don't want to come tomorrow. So like a little bit keeping that you have to come. But it doesn't mean that you have to come, because if you cannot, then you cannot. Like with Patabi Church, in the old yoga shala, when you really felt sick or pain or tired or something, it was like a real sensation. You just felt like I cannot do more. I'm vomiting or something. And you say, okay, Guruji, I'm going to pray upstairs.
Upstairs.
So moving upstairs, and he was like, okay. So you got to pray, which means that you got to pray. Ask help from the other level. But there was always that flexibility. He was not, it was not easy to say for him, because he could say no, like you do it. But then you just have to be kind of tough to them. I really, I'm sick. I have to go. And then he was like, okay, you can go. And he was pushing people to practice 6 times a week, even if somebody didn't feel so comfortable. But yeah, I think every teacher who has a guru, they always has some part of the guru in their own teachings and their life. And I'm sure Guruji was much softer than Krishnamacharya in the teachings, but he tried to be tough.
The same.
And he was shouting for people if they did something wrong, and he was strict, and he wanted people to like really give everything. And I'm sure he did the same when he was student. He also gave everything. But he really had a big heart and understanding if you couldn't do it. But you know, this kind of attitude would come from the guru. It can be also good inspiration for the student not to become weak and lazy. So you really like want to give everything in. It also happened to me once when I was very sick one morning, and I was thinking like if I can go to practice, but I really wanted to go because it was nice to go, it was nice to be practicing with him. But I tried to walk and I couldn't walk. I had a stomach problem. I was so weak I couldn't walk, so we stayed in one apartment with 2 of my friends. I was like, what if I jump on the bicycle and you push me to the shala? So I jumped to the bicycle and my friends were pushing the bicycle to the shala and really wanted to go. It was a short practice, but I went.
But real sadhana.
I did my best. Yeah, so it was a good feeling to go. Nobody wanted to skip any practice, I think. And especially because Pattabhi was really like wanted us to practice, and it was always good to go. It was like a blessing. Yeah, I feel Pattabhi chosen. When I teach, I don't try to copy him, because I think it's difficult to copy anyone, but the things which were important for him, like how to do the pose and how to breathe and some alignments which were important for him, I try to also keep them. But I think maybe I became much softer than I'm not shouting to anyone. But yeah, I try to keep that kind of similar energy in the class, that there is a deep concentration, quietness, mind focus, meditation, and some important alignments which which are very kind of deeply in my body, because with him, when you did something wrong, he was tough. He was shouting and he was like, "You, what are you doing?" So it really stays in the body in a deep level. I think, like, you can wake up in the middle of the night and think like, I'm in the wrong position. So these alignments are important. They kind of, I feel in my body, and when I see the student in the wrong position, I feel like this is the wrong position. I have to correct it. Yeah. Everyone takes from the gurus what they feel is the best for this teaching. Yeah. Leave the things what you think they are not so important, and take what you think is important.